Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala rasulillah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Welcome, ICW community, to our program, Ramadan Nutrition and Workout Plan for Success. My name is Harisuddin, and I'm so excited to be here with you tonight. We try to bring a mix of speakers and topics with the ultimate goal of reconnecting and re-inspiring you to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In a few days, we will be in the month of fasting, the month of Quran, the month of dua. Allahumma barik lana fi Sha'ban wa balighna Ramadan. Tonight's presentation is for you to learn how to stay healthy and energized in the month of Ramadan. So ask your questions. My co-host will be giving you several opportunities to earn some ICW swag. She has been a part of the ICW community for several years and is the co-founder of SEMA, a national mental health organization for Muslims. She's a financial analyst, a podcaster, a public speaker, a writer, and has been featured in PBS NewsHour and Psychology Today. She's also pursuing her master's in counseling psychology at Northwestern University and has not one, not two, not three, but 4 children. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Sister Noreen Ahmad.
Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khair for that beautiful introduction. I'm so excited to invite you all to listen to Dr. Naveed Saeed and Dr. Shehaiber. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Brother Naveed. Dr. Saeed is a board-certified chiropractor and physiotherapist and the owner of Access Health Clinics located in Des Plaines, Oakbrook Terrace, and Hoffman Estates. He's also a personal trainer and co-owner of Gains Fit Club in Oakbrook Terrace, which is a gym facility that offers fitness, boxing, and yoga classes that also offer women's-only gym timings and classes that are led by female trainers. In his spare time, Dr. Saeed enjoys working out and playing sports and spending time with his wife and kids. He's also actively involved in promoting local community and school athletic programs. Dr. Saeed, thank you so much for joining us.
Jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Thank you. I'll also introduce Dr. Shehaiber. Dr. Shehaiber is a board-certified chiropractic physician and certified acupuncturist. Her main concentration is on women's health issues, treating disorders from infertility, adrenal fatigue, thyroid diseases, and weight problems. She's also a birth doula, birthing and breastfeeding educator to help support women through pregnancy, labor and delivery, postpartum, and breastfeeding. She's a Matheson-trained FCE evaluator and also certified in muscle testing and kinesio taping methods. Dr. Shehaiber, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, and jazakumullah khair for having me.
So with that, I will turn it over to you all to begin your presentation on Ramadan and nutrition and fasting.
Jazakallah khair. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. So we're approaching that time now, time of the year. We all look forward to Ramadan. We all look forward to fasting. We all look forward to the qiyams and those long nights and those days of hunger and fatigue. But it's just not all about that. You know, we also want to know what can we do to make it easier on ourselves, but also how can we maintain a lifestyle? We don't have to change too much. We don't have to feel all that fatigue. So one of the things we want to start off with today is just talk about some of the benefits of fasting, right? So from a healthcare point of view, we know that it detoxifies our body. You know, intermittent fasting is like the big new craze. You know, I had a colleague tell me one day that, oh, I'm doing intermittent fasting. You know, my response was, well, you know, we've been doing it for 1,400 years now. You know, so it's something that we've always done, but now it's a new thing that everyone's talking about. So detoxification is a huge aspect of it. The other thing is weight control. You know, it's if done right, you know, you're going to be able to maintain your weight and maybe even lose some pounds. Mental strength and our mental fortitude by being able to starve yourself by not eating for long periods of time, it really helps to build that mental endurance. And finally, addictions. I mean, how many of us know people that smoke on a regular basis, but somehow in Ramadan, they're able to avoid that smoking. They're able to avoid that addiction. So that becomes a huge aspect of it. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to turn it over to Dr. Samar Shehaiber, talk a little bit more details about fasting and how physically it's affecting us.
Thank you, Dr. Naveed. So he basically touched on the detoxification process of our fasting. Basically, what happens physically is that our body gets rid of its harmful substances that we've accumulated over the year. And subhanAllah, Allah gives us that respite period during Ramadan to cleanse ourselves from those harmful substances, maximize our body's self-healing capacities, and help us transition from a disease, addiction, pain, and fatigue state to a more independent, energetic state of mind. Eventually, during that detoxification period, some people will exhibit some signs and symptoms that are completely normal to go through, and that's just the body's way of cleansing itself out of that disease state. You may exhibit vomiting. Some people may have headaches. Some may have diarrhea, bloating, joint pain. Others might just feel a depression or irritability throughout the day, and that's completely fine and normal. And once that those toxins are eradicated from your body, you should go into an energetic state of mind after that. One of the reasons that we allow ourselves to go through this detoxification period is to basically recharge our digestion. And over the years, our digestive tract becomes more slow, less motile. So this is primarily the reason why people gain weight or exhibit signs of fatigue, exhibit different types of problems, medical problems. So with fasting and how we break it, there's usually an etiquette that our Prophet subhanahu wa ta'ala sallallahu alaihi wasallam used to follow to allow that digestion to occur. Basically, he would break his fast initially with water and a few dates, and then he would give himself a respite period of about an hour where he would go on with the praying, reading the Quran, making his dua, visiting his family and friends. And then he would come back after that respite period to finish his food. And he would follow a very light diet, which is what our protocol follows, and what we pretty much advocate for. So during the iftar period, and if brother, you could put up the Ramadan protocol for us. Thank you.
Omar, before you go through that, would you say this drink would be allowed to break my fast with?
No.
No.
Nothing carbonated.
Avoid the
Nothing
sugar.
sugary. No, let's follow the water protocol.
Well, one of the things Dr. Samar touched upon, which is really key here, is that little time from iftar to when you actually eat dinner, right? So one of the things that we notice in our clinic is many times, actually more than the majority of our patients, in Ramadan, they actually will gain weight, right? And we think, well, we're starving ourselves. Why are we gaining weight? The reason being is you're starving yourself, so your body starts going into this conservation mode, right? So you start storing energy, storing your food, your metabolism decreases. So then iftar comes around and we all of a sudden start gobbling up all this food. You got your samosas and your fruit chaat and whatever other food you have out there, your little pakola drink that you have next to you, and you start eating all this food, but your body is still thinking, okay, I'm in starvation mood, I'm going to take up all this food because my stomach's empty. But then it takes about 15 to 20 minutes for your mind to realize, oh, wait a second, there's food in my stomach. I don't need all this food. So then we sit there like, oh man, my stomach hurts. How am I going to go for Taraweeh when I have so much food in my stomach? And then that's when you get the biryani burps and Taraweeh, when you're praying. So you got to give yourself about 15 to 20 minutes to let your body realize there's food, so that way you don't overeat. And that was what I think Dr. Samar was referring to when he's talking about that extra period of time.
Oh, that makes a lot of sense because you break your fast, and you go pray Maghrib, you pray your Sunnah, and you come back and you're not as hungry as you were before Maghrib.
Correct.
So
Exactly.
pretty awesome. Thanks.
So basically, he used to break his fast with soup or salad, very light. He would eat very lean meats, would stay away from heavy starchy carbs, sugars. So what we advise is for you to take about 4 to 8 ounces of protein and about 2 cups of cooked vegetables. You can eat an unlimited amount of raw vegetables. And for dessert, instead of reaching for those sweets, you could grab a piece of fruit. Now, fruits come with a glycemic index, which is basically what our body burns off into sugars. The higher the glycemic index, obviously, the more it will store sugars in our body. So we tend to want to go towards the fruits that have a lower glycemic index, and you have them up there: cherries, grapefruit, apricots. Those are some of the few. I know in the Middle Eastern community, we love our watermelon and white cheese. It has a very high water content but a also very high glycemic index. So, obviously, as much as it quenches that thirst, it also can retain some of that sugar in your body. So, just have a few bites here and there with that. You can still have your coffee and tea after, but just limit it to a cup a day. Again, for suhoor, follow the same protocol. For iftar, I recommend that you stop eating at around 10 p.m. and resume a light suhoor. Drink a minimum of 30 ounces of water between suhoor and iftar, or I mean between iftar and suhoor, and about maybe 15 ounces right before suhoor. As far as what to eat and what to avoid, basically avoid anything that's fried if you can. Instead, use grilling, baking, steaming, or boiling your food. I would avoid anything that's sugary. If you want to reach out for that juice, that mango juice, that orange juice, try not to do that and limit it to that piece of fruit that you're going to have afterwards instead. Anything processed, anything with a high salt content, with preservatives, avoid them as much as possible because they will retain that water within your body and make you more thirsty throughout the day. Reach out for fruits that are more high in fiber, like raspberries, strawberries, apples, bananas, oranges are all high in fiber. Try more like egg whites, yogurts during suhoor time. They'll allow you to keep that protein in your body for longer times. And also, if you are going to reach for any carbohydrates, reach for that whole wheat food products because they do take about 6 to 7 hours to digest in your body, and you shouldn't feel too hungry throughout if you reach out for them. As far as for my pregnant and breastfeeding moms who want to fast during the month of Ramadan, I sincerely advise you to consult with your physician first off. If you are a high-risk mom, I do not advise on you participating in the fasting ritual just because there is a low birth weight and a high chance of going into labor prematurely. But if you are a healthy pregnant mom, go ahead and fast between the weeks of 22 and 27. Avoid the first trimester and the third trimester. Increase your calorie intake more towards 200, 300 calories a day. For the breastfeeding mom, increase it to about 500 calories a day to allow for that milk production. You'll notice that your milk composition will change after you've fasted. That's completely normal. This just allows our body to decrease the lactose and phosphorus and allow for an increase in the calcium, sodium, and protein. Your babies might be a little bit fussier when they nurse. That's completely normal. And they might want to nurse more and faster. That's also completely normal. Stay hydrated. Definitely keep your hydration more than 30 ounces a day of water. And
I just want to interject. That's really great tips. You know, as a mother of 4, I remember
yes.
going through Ramadan, either pregnant or nursing, and there are other moms, you know, who are Ramadan warriors, and they just want to push through. No, I'm going to fast. I'm going to fast, and you know, this is a mercy from Allah that we are given an exemption, you know, from fasting. And I remember my first Ramadan, I was nursing, and I was trying to do every other day. But I was working and I was pumping, and I noticed my milk production was less, and you know, kind of had to make the call, like, you know, I just need, Allah knows, you know, what my intentions are, and you are still rewarded for that, you know. So
you are.
And taking care of your health and your children is more blessing for you. So I appreciate you bringing that up. So
no problem. And definitely, like, for those moms that their milk production does decrease during their fasting, there are supplements that you can take, like milk thistle, mother's milk. You can supplement with other supplements. Talking about supplements, if you are continuing your vitamins and supplements, do take your water soluble vitamins before you eat. So basically after you break your fast, like your vitamins B, C, folic acid for pregnant moms. For those fat soluble vitamins, you can take those with food or after food. Those are your A, D, E, and K vitamins. Your magnesium, definitely take that if you are having any muscle spasms, any nerve dysfunction. It also helps you with your sleeping. Your omega-3s are for your cardiovascular health. Your curcumin and turmeric for your inflammation. Your probiotics are very crucial during this month to help regulate your good gut bacteria. Definitely our electrolytes, because we're going to tend to lose them, especially if you are teenagers or athletes that like to play sports while you're fasting. Your potassium to help keep your heart functioning properly and your energy high. Your sodium to avoid those headaches and muscle spasms. Your calcium. And for us women, definitely take our calciums with our magnesium. It's a good rider to get into our bones to avoid those brittle bone issues that we tend to have as we age. Zinc for immunity. For the guys, it's an awesome testosterone production supplement, and it's also very helpful for nerve function. So continue to take those throughout the month of Ramadan.
Dr. Salma, I just wanted to add also to what you were saying, that little Picola drink that Haris has next to him. Yeah, one of the reasons why you don't want to do that, because it acts as a diuretic. So if you're having a carbonated drink like that at suhoor time, you'll probably get more thirsty quicker. You know, and so you want to avoid those type of drinks because it will make you more thirsty.
Yeah.
Dr. Shehaiber, you mentioned that zinc will help you increase your testosterone. One of my goals in life is to be able to lift more than Dr. Naveed. Which foods naturally have zinc in them?
Leafy greens have zinc in them. Help me out, Doc. I think zucchini has it. Basically, any of your vegetables have a high concentration of zinc in it.
And get a lot of your green leafy vegetables for the zinc and iron.
Iron, yeah.
Okay.
And calcium.
Pretty much.
I don't see much of that around here in the kitchen right now.
Unfortunately, with the way food is processed these days, you don't really get that actual wholesome effect of it. So supplementing is usually often crucial to our diets.
All right. Makes sense. Thanks, guys.
So Dr. Naveed, I mean, a lot of our patients come in and they tell us I'm too tired and sluggish and I don't feel like working out after I just ate this big heavy meal, but yet they want an adjustment the next day. They want massages. They want the physical therapy.
Exactly.
What do we do with those patients, especially our aunties and uncles that really can't move that much, or after Tarawih, they're exhausted?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that I always tell our patients is if you have not worked out before, Ramadan is not the time to join a CrossFit program. You know, it's not the time to try to say, okay, I'm going to run a marathon by the time Ramadan is over. It's not going to happen because you're just not used to, your body's not used to it. It's all about movement, right? You got to start moving first. You got to start walking first before you could start running, right? So some of the effects or some of the benefits that you're going to get with exercise, and this is not just for Ramadan, but this is for all time, but Ramadan should not stop you from exercise, right? So exercise, it affects your brain, it affects your cognition, you're able to think more clearly, right? So that's going to be important, especially when we start getting, you know, tired towards the end of the fast, the day, you know, that's when we really need this energy. Exercise will actually help you improve your sleep. Yes, it'll give you energy, but it also will help you sleep better. Exercise will improve your blood flow, right? When your muscles are getting warm from working out, that's because your blood is flowing throughout the muscles, and that's where the blood flow really helps. And then, you know, muscle growth, you know, resistance training, weightlifting, you know, it seems like Haris wants to join us at Gains Fit Club to start a weightlifting program. Well, muscle growth is where it's at. Improve your heart health, right? I don't know if you guys have heard about some of the recent incidences of heart disease in the community, younger people having heart attacks. I know part of our basketball groups in the past 3 years, there was about 2 or 3 heart attacks during you know, games or right after games, you know? So those are incidents we're seeing now in our 30s. You know, we thought this is a problem that we're gonna have to think about in our 50s and 60s. We're seeing these problems now. Exercise will reduce or improve the effects of aging, right? Your skin is gonna be tighter, your muscles are gonna be stronger, your joints are gonna be looser. It's gonna help you out with all that. Exercise is gonna help your immune system. You know, right now we're talking about COVID, you know, and one of the really big risk factors in being affected by COVID is obesity, right? The likelihood of you having a negative effect from COVID is higher when you're obese. So that's definitely a big aspect of your health. Reducing anxiety, depression, sensitivities to stress. You know, we all live in a stressful age. You know, people say stress is a killer, which is reality, right? Because if you have a problem, even if it's a muscular problem, you know, when you add stress to it, your muscles are going to tighten up and it's going to cause more irritation to your body. And of course, one of the big things, which I think Dr. Summer also talked about, was increasing your bone density and reducing the risk of osteoporosis. You know, back in the 60s and 70s, even in the 80s, women didn't work out. When it came to resistance training, all they did was aerobics and just drank milk, right? But now it's, you know, weightlifting is not just for men, it's for the women too. Because when you weightlift, you increase your bone density, your muscles become stronger, you're able to have more functional life. So these are all things that we want to make sure that we're all doing, but that should not stop in Ramadan, right? So in Ramadan, what should we be doing for exercise? It's not going to be the same as maybe as what we do in our daily routine, but we have to change around the timings. What I recommend to most of our patients and most of our clients at the gym is an hour or two before iftar or a few hours after Tarawih, right? So and you go to any of the gym right now, during Ramadan, if you go to any gym in the Lombardabad area, right? What you'll see is a bunch of guys working out after Tarawih. Okay? It's a pretty routine thing. If you go to Export Fitness at midnight during Ramadan, you'll see about 75 to 80% of the Muslim guys, and a few of those guys probably just finished leading Tarawih somewhere, right? Because that's a good time, because you've had iftar at 7:30, 8 o'clock, and now it's about 11, 12 o'clock. Your body has digested the food. Now your body has energy. So now you'll be able to get an efficient workout, especially if you're looking to get like a strength training type of workout. That's a good time to get the workout.
Dr. Saeed, that's actually an excellent point that you brought up, because one of the questions in the chat is, well, the second question was, what is the best time to get your daily exercise? Is it okay to do an hour before iftar? So you're saying do it after your iftar, correct?
I'm saying both. Okay, so let me add to a little bit what I was saying. So an hour before iftar or an hour and a half before iftar is also a great time to get a workout. However, if you want to do more of a cardiovascular type of workout, where you're gonna go run a few miles, okay, you're gonna do an aerobics class. You're gonna go play a game of basketball, volleyball. That's actually a good thing to do before iftar, because now you're towards the end and you're gonna be able to finish your game, finish your exercise, and then go ahead and be able to drink some water, because your body is gonna need that hydration. So the cardiovascular exercise will be good to do before iftar. The reason I'm not saying to do a lot of weightlifting before iftar is because you starve yourself for 12 hours or 14 hours, or what is it gonna be now, 15 hours fast? So you're starving for about 14, 15 hours. Your body is depleted of energy, right? So your body needs energy for muscle growth. So if you're doing weightlifting, you need to be utilizing your fast twitch muscles. You need the energy for that. If you're just going to be running or doing aerobics, you're going to utilize more of your slow twitch muscles. So you don't need that energy as much because it's more sustained, lower intensity. When it comes to high intensity, you're going to need that energy. So that's why if you're going to be doing more low intensity type of workouts, before iftar is totally fine. If you're going to do more high intensity or heavy weightlifting, after iftar would be more efficient time. Actually, about 4 hours after iftar.
Okay, I do encourage the listeners to please send in your questions. We do have swag that we will send you. We have another question. How about breaking fast on dates? Is that okay? And how many dates are enough? I think Dr. Summer kind of touched on this a little bit earlier.
Yes, the Sunnah tells us to actually break our fast with dates, and our Prophet ﷺ used to break them in a segment of threes. So you could do it in odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, and the Sunnah, the maximum is actually 7. So you can break it up to 7 dates a day. The dates are actually very high. They have a high concentration of potassium in them, which help regulate your blood pressure and your blood sugar level in the body. So they help decrease your blood pressure down, and they help to modify your blood sugar level if you are a diabetic. So dates are really beneficial on an empty stomach. So the more the merrier, I say, but follow the Sunnah. He used to do it in odd numbers.
You know, you also mentioned watermelon, and I remember
Yes.
a hadith by the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam where he actually mentions eating dates and watermelon together because the heat and the coolness of the
Yes.
fruits kind of counteract each other. So,
Well, the high water content in it as well. Yes.
right.
Yeah, watermelon is one of those fruits that has a high glycemic index, but it's also a really good fruit for quenching your thirst. You know, so you don't want to just eat only watermelon, but it's a good thing to add watermelon at the end of the day when you've been fasting, especially in these long fasts and these hot summer days.
I would say suhoor time is the best time to have that usually. Yeah, because it will sustain your thirst and it will give you that energy level that you're going to need for the day.
That's true. I would
Yeah.
think things like oatmeal as well would be good at suhoor time. Is there any other like things like that?
It might be a little bit heavy. I would stick to yogurts, fruits. Others is like the egg whites. Yeah.
Egg whites, right. Okay.
Yeah, egg whites.
So a lot of it is going to depend on your activity level also
Right.
throughout the day. If you're somebody who sits at a desk in front of a computer, which most of us are now doing with e-learning and remote work and everything like that, then you want to limit how much calorie or carbohydrate intake you're going to be taking in. But if you're a construction worker, you're going to be on the field, you're going to need that energy. You're going to need some of those complex carbs that you'll get from whole wheat or from oatmeal. Then in that case, yeah, it's not a bad idea to have something like that. Just got to remember what your activity level is going to be throughout the day.
Yeah.
How
Did
do
you? Sorry.
Sorry, I'm going to ask, how do you recommend getting, in Ramadan, you kind of get those Ramadan headaches, like that caffeine withdrawals from coffee, and especially like the first week.
That's the part of the detox process that we discussed.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, that's your body's way of getting rid of those toxins. What I would say is hydrate as much as you can right before suhoor time. Those 15 ounces are very crucial to get rid of those headaches for you. And if you are a caffeine drinker, have that cup of coffee right at suhoor time instead of after iftar.
Okay.
But do limit the coffee, because you don't want to drink too much coffee and then dehydrate yourself.
Right. We do have some questions that have come in, and I'm just going to ask the first one. I have trouble falling asleep after suhoor. Are there any mindfulness apps that you've seen that you would recommend?
Well, one thing I know that works for my kids really well is after suhoor, when I ask them to read Quran, they knock out fast. Okay, so not just read Quran, but just read a book, sit down, read. That will really definitely help you fall asleep.
Yeah,
I don't know of any apps. Dr. Summer, do you know of any apps?
I don't. I'm sorry. Yeah. Noreen, that's your category. Psychological.
Yeah, you know, there's a new one, a Muslim one called Sabr. I don't know if that might have some mindfulness, you know, things for that. But yeah, the Sabr app is something that's kind of a mental health thing. We have one question in the chat. I love samosas and I refuse to let them go. How can I make this work for me this Ramadan?
All right, I got the perfect solution. Right? Air fry them. Okay. Last year we bought an air fryer and we started air frying a lot of things. Okay. Now one thing is when you air fry, those who don't have an air fryer, there's no oil involved. Okay. You could pretty much air fry anything and have it edible. So put the samosas in an air fryer. Avoid the oil. You won't get that thirst. Like if you get a very oily samosa, you get thirsty afterwards. You won't get that. So at least that way, Brother Salman, you can maintain that samosa fix that you need.
I try to also limit the samosas to the weekends. So during the week, avoid all fried stuff with the kids. Keep our iftar simple, and then kind of splurge on the weekends, like let the kids have their samosas and stuff. So that's the way I try to kind of balance it out. But speaking of kids, there's a question. My children really dislike eating healthy. Any tips on how to change that?
You want to make it fun for children. Like with my children, I've noticed that habits and modeling yourself before them tends to make them follow what you do. So they notice that I tend to reach out more for fruits and vegetables. And so now my kids, that's all they like to eat is fruits and vegetables for snacking. So modeling yourself in front of your children allows them to follow that repetitive behavior throughout the entire of their life. As far as them disliking eating healthy, change it up a bit, make it fun. I know they have cutters now where you can cut up pieces of fruits into like shapes of animals or something, you know, or make it into a game for them. Like, you know, if you eat this much, you know, we'll do this activity together, or, you know, just make them excited about eating healthy and not so mundane or pressuring them into eating it, because that's how we end up having that eating disorder kind of mentality. You know, we grow up, like when I used to be younger, you know, I used to hate lentil soup. I despised it, and my parents would shove it down my throat. But as I got older and away from it, you know, and tried it on my own and cooked it the way I like to cook it, you know, I started to like it again. So mentally, you don't want to do that to children. You just want to allow them to explore and experiment on their own, and given them the, you know, essentials. Basically, children don't need that much food, really. You know, their stomachs are not like our stomachs. So the little bit that you can give them is, along with supplementation, obviously, is all they really need.
Thank you for that. Another question we have is, do you have any tips on balancing eating healthy with enjoying food?
Moderation. Moderation, everything in moderation. Like I said, you don't have to make it mundane and, you know, everything the same. Change it up a bit, you know, add different ingredients. I know for like smoothies, I know with our last talk, some people asked me about smoothies, and like what you could put inside your smoothies. A lot of people hate to eat kale separate or spinach separate, whatever, but you can mix it up in your smoothies and you can't even taste the difference. So,
Yeah.
that's one way of getting in your fruit and vegetable intake, is to just mix it up in different recipes.
I know one thing that we've been doing for our kids in Ramadan is we will make fruit smoothies, and so if you take some bananas, some grapes, kale is something that we use regularly in our smoothies. Kids don't even notice that there's kale in there, but from the sweetness of the fruit, they'll enjoy it. A lot of times we put ice cream in the smoothies, maybe put some yogurt in there and honey, and that'll give you the sweetness of it. Honey is a much better sweetener to use than just regular sugar. So those are all things that you can add to the smoothies, make it more enjoyable.
And now there are so many different ingredients that you can add out of like keto diets and stuff like that, like cauliflower, zucchini, and supplement them for that pasta or that rice that you might want to reach out for. And it pretty much tastes the same. I mean, you can barely taste the difference.
These are all great tips, even outside of Ramadan, to be honest.
Well, that's the idea, is for us to get you started healthy during Ramadan to where you can keep it up throughout the remainder of the year. And you'd be surprised how many patients come back and tell us, I lost 20 pounds without even trying. So, it's really a healthy, subhanAllah, it's like I said, it's a respite period that Allah gives us to recharge ourselves every year. So there is rahmah in it besides the spiritual aspect for it.
This question, I'm not going to say who asked this one, but normally I just try to maintain my bench, squat, deadlift in Ramadan. Do you recommend pushing myself to increase it?
So to me, and what I usually recommend to our Muslim clients and patients is, Ramadan is usually not a time where you're going to increase your lifts as much, but it's a time to really maintain those lifts, right? You don't want to drop your workouts, but you want to at least maintain, so you kind of, when Ramadan is over, if you want to then start increasing. Also depends on age category. We got our young lifters who are in their teens and 20s. They're looking for those increases. They want to increase their max on all these different lifts, right? A lot of those ones that are increasing it, they're probably going to come see me in their 30s for deadlifting too much, because their back's going to go out. But those are areas where you want to really help to just kind of maintain. Once Ramadan is over, then you go out all out and you do your lifting. But once you get a little bit older, it's not about how much you're lifting. It's about the consistency of you doing your exercise, the consistency of lifting, so that way you could stay healthy, right? Our bodies, I always tell my patients, our bodies are an amanah from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Allah has given us these bodies. How are we going to go back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? Are we going to take care of our bodies and tell Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you gave me this amanah and I took care of it? Or are we gonna let ourselves go and not do anything about it? So that's really where the Ramadan training comes in, where you have to do it because this is how we were created, and it's going to help us in our ibadah. It's going to help us in our worship. It's going to help us in our qiyams. We'll be able to stand for long periods of time. We'll be able to do more dua, more sajda. All of this if we have stronger bodies.
Inshallah, don't worry, I'm coming for you, Dr. Naveed.
Nice.
Dr. Naveed, can you please touch a little bit on some of the stretches and exercises that our older community members can perform if they are sitting or sedentary at home?
So one of the biggest aspects of exercise and fitness that we recommend to our older population. By older, I'm saying I'm including myself in that population.
Me too.
In your 40s and 50s,
I'm sedentary.
is stretching, right? If you have a yoga program, a lot of us have these yoga apps or yoga videos. This is a good time to do it because your muscles are going to get tight. You're going to be dehydrated, so you need that flexibility. So start doing some of those stretches to maintain joint movement and flexibility. The other thing is just our cardiovascular health, jumping jacks. So we implemented a new program at the gym for cardiovascular health. And one of the things that we started doing was jumping jacks, right? So we have different stations, and one is the jumping jack station. So you do jumping jacks for 30 seconds straight. Most people at the end of the 30 seconds, they're breathing pretty heavy. You know, you think, oh yeah, we used to do jumping jacks in gym class, you know, in elementary school and things like that. But, you know, as we get older, even some of the simple exercises become a challenge when you haven't done them in a long time. So a simple routine that someone can do would be start off by doing 20 jumping jacks. Then maybe go ahead and do like 10 squats, air squats, do 10 push-ups, do 10 sit-ups, and then do 10 burpees, right? You give yourself about a 30-second break in between each one, and you do 30 seconds of each one of those exercises. By the time you're done with one set, it'd be about 5 to 7 minutes, right? Then go ahead and do 3 sets of that. By the time you're done, believe me, you will be tired, you will be sweating, and you will want to do it again the next day because you'll feel that energy. So simple exercises done in consistency is where you're going to see the benefits, right? Just going to the gym once a week or, you know, every other week is not going to help, but that consistency is where you're going to see the big difference.
You said burpees, jumping jacks. What was the last thing?
So we said jumping jacks, squats, push-ups, burpees, sit-ups or crunches.
Oh, these are all things you can do at home even.
These are all things you could do at home.
Yeah.
All this is doing. You know, I started doing a few years ago with my kids is usually after Asr prayer, we'll do 10 push-ups and a 30-second plank. All right, we'll do that 3 to 5 times. And we did it consistently, especially when COVID hit, so we were home all the time. We started doing it consistently during that time. All my kids are experts at planks and push-ups now.
Oh, sure.
My kids and I, we like to jump rope or go up and down the stairs, doing squats on the stairs. So there's a lot of things you can use throughout your house that can benefit you physical-wise.
You guys mentioned drinking fruit smoothies and using honey instead of sugar. What about meat? Is it good to consume a decent amount of chicken and fish in Ramadan?
Stay with lean meats. Avoid like beef, gamey stuff. Fish is a good substitute. Chicken is a good substitute. And I prefer farm-raised, organic farm-raised. As opposed to, you know, free-ranged.
And avoid processed meats like hot dogs, you know, salamis, sausages, things like that, which have a lot of high salt content, especially in Ramadan because you're not drinking any water. You want to avoid that. Now about protein shake versus juicing, I want to just touch a little bit upon that because I know Dr. Summer really stressed shakes and smoothies and not juicing. By having taken a whole fruit and blending it up, you're retaining the fiber, right? So your body needs that fiber for your digestion versus just juice. If you take just the juice, of course you're getting some of the nutrients, but you're also getting just all sugar. So having the fiber by doing a shake or a smoothie is going to be more beneficial for you.
This type of juice is okay, right? It says 100% juice on it.
Where do you keep coming up with this stuff? I think we need to go revamp his kitchen.
I'm glad, actually, Dr. Shehaiber, I'm glad you said we could eat a lot of fish because I've got fish right here. I'm ready for Ramadan, I think.
I think
We're
that goes
to come up with a grocery list for you.
Would you be able to share some of those, the tips? And like, I really like that chart you had about with the timetable and the foods. Is there any way you can share that with the people who are listening?
Yes, of course. We'll provide it for you guys.
Yeah, I think you guys should have it. I emailed it to you guys. I don't know if you want to post it up again. And then if you want to send it out, absolutely. It's for the community, so anyone who wants to look over it, have a copy of it, by all means, feel free to send it out. Yeah, this.
Yes, this is excellent.
So this is just some of the recommendations that we've had, that we've created, that we use this with our patients. It's not just for our Muslim patients, but even for our non-Muslim patients who are looking to lose weight, we will do this. One of the big points of this type of a diet is to reduce the inflammation. We're pushing for an anti-inflammatory type of diet. We want to deflame our bodies, so that's where this all comes in. So that's where we created this.
I know one Ramadan I did that. Well, not one. I pretty much, this is typically we make, like, we call it a fruit chaat, and it's basically a fruit salad, and then they add some salty, I don't know, seasoning to it. I don't prefer the salty seasoning personally. And it probably, the salty seasoning probably is not good, right? Like, it's probably making you retain. No,
Is that like tagine? I'm guessing that's like that tagine. Yeah,
so
the Hispanic community does that too, I noticed.
No, so you know what it is, Dr. Summer? It's called chaat masala, right? You get it in a little box, and it's got salt and all these different things on there. My wife and I argue about this every Ramadan, right? I'm like, no, I just want my fruit, plain fruit. I don't want the masala in my fruit. I'll have that in my biryani, but not in my fruit, right? My wife insists that, Ami did this when we were growing up, we have to do it the same way. But yeah, it kind of defeats the purpose of fruit, because you're adding all the salt and all these different spices and stuff to the fruit.
Right.
And you want fruit to hydrate you. So
yeah.
Sure.
That goes for my community too, the Middle Eastern, with the knafa. Oh my God. That knafa and the katayef afterwards, I think you guys need to limit that intake.
I love visiting my Syrian friends because they feed me that stuff. But I would always do like a big bowl of fruit to break my fast, and then go pray. And like you said, when you wait like 15, 20 minutes, your eyes are bigger than, your plate. And then you come back and you're not even hungry for that fried samosas and biryani, and you can't even digest all that. So it really helps you with just having that healthy balance for sure. So.
There's always subhanallah and understanding behind why our prophet used to do certain things, and it's just going back to that sunnah that we kind of left behind. If we followed it, we'd all be in a better state of mind, physically, mentally, spiritually. Somebody's asking if we have any tips for diabetics who are fasting. Yes, if you are insulin dependent or you are on metformin, do take that during your suhoor period instead of after your iftar period, because it will allow your blood sugar level to stabilize throughout the day, and you will not feel that dizziness, that lightheadedness that most diabetics experience post fasting. Dr. Naveed, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, the one of the keys here, though, I think what we have to remember is, if you are diabetic or if you are taking insulin or metformin, make sure you consult with your physician, because your physician is going to have your history. Your physician is going to know what your dosages are, and your physician is also going to tell you if you should be fasting or if you shouldn't be fasting.
Exactly.
So make sure you consult with them. These are just tips that we're giving. We don't know your health history, but your physician does. So make sure you talk to them about that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I have a personal question. So last year in Ramadan, it was COVID. Our schedules were all crazy. I had a really hard time staying awake during work hours because of the long days and, less food. And, what do you recommend? I'm not a coffee drinker either anyway, so it was just really, really difficult. So what are things we can eat that'll kind of keep our energy, like keep me awake during the day? Because I have a 9-to-5 job and I can't be sleeping on my job.
Well, I guess that goes back to what we discussed during your suhoor. Your protein intake obviously is very crucial. I like to consume nuts a lot to give me that boost of energy. Oysters, shellfish, those tend to give you a boost of energy. As far as drinks, maybe mix your smoothie with something that can, boost your energy with it.
I mean, should I like do a Red Bull at suhoor time? Like just
no.
I don't know. I'll probably
Well,
cry.
one of the things that really helps is having if you're a coffee drinker, black coffee, right? Because there's no sugar, you're not adding any sugar to it. It's just you're getting some of the caffeine from it. But hydration is really important, right? Making sure you're drinking that water and making sure your breakfast or your suhoor is not a very extremely carbohydrate rich type of breakfast, right? So if you're gonna have a big plate of biryani or pasta at suhoor time, then your body is gonna get fatigued, you're gonna get tired. But having a little bit of fruit and a little bit of carbs, mixing up the complex carbs with some of the fruit, adding, drinking a lot of water, all those things I think will kind of help with the energy levels. But one of the challenges of fasting is you're gonna get tired, right? Mm-hmm. Just like you're gonna get hungry. In these long fasts, you are gonna get tired. It's bound to happen. So these are just some of the challenges. And of course, getting sleep, right? Being able to get that sleep at night. If you're up late for Taraweeh and then you do a qiyam afterwards, and then you have suhoor and you have this sleep pattern that's broken up, expect to be tired the next day. That's normal for you to be tired. And I think in these long fasts, the bigger challenge is not the getting hungry, it's getting the rest, right? When we have in the middle of the summer, when we have the 18-hour fast, I think more people are tired than they are hungry.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Now, I know somebody had posed a question about Ramadan workouts. So one of the things that we're going to be doing at Gains Fit Club is we've extended our hours in Ramadan. As Noreen had mentioned earlier, I believe you had mentioned about the classes that we have for men and classes we have for women. Similarly, in Ramadan, we're going to be shifting our schedule where we will have classes right before iftar, and we will have classes after Taraweeh. So 11 to midnight, we will have classes. So on our website, we have our schedule up. We have classes for brothers and classes for sisters. And then we do have a group of brothers that come for open gym. For those brothers, we will have Friday nights, midnight to 2 a.m. open gym available. We do have some open gym slots available for sisters too, which you'll be able to see on our website. But this is where, rather than after you do your Taraweeh, just hanging out, just come to the gym and work out with us. So the midnight workouts, midnight to 2, it's complimentary. So even if you're not a member, you could just come check out our gym and get in a workout and meet a lot of the other brothers that have been coming to the gym. And when you look at the schedule, you'll see all the different timings that we have. We're open 7 days a week, so classes that are going on throughout the day, all 7 days of the week.
Also, I wanted to touch base on that fatigued state that you mentioned throughout the day. One recommendation I like to give my patients is acupuncture or hijama to get rid of that toxic blood that is retained in your body, because that also tends to keep that fatigue and tiredness in your muscles in your body. So hijama is a great way to dispel that toxic blood. Acupuncture is a great pain management tool as well. So I highly recommend getting a few sessions of those throughout the Ramadan experience. And it's a form of ibadah.
Do it during Ramadan.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I was going to ask, about the gym. You mentioned classes for women. Like, how is your gym set up? Is there an area just for women, or how are you managing that?
So our gym is set up as a fitness studio. So we have class timings. So when for example, today we had a 1 o'clock class for sisters. At that time, you have a female instructor who's teaching that class. The gym is shut down, all the doors are locked, and it's only the sisters at that time. When the brothers classes happen, same thing. It's just the brothers, male instructor, only brothers at that time. And then when we have open gym, we have set times for sisters who just want to work out on their own. they just come and work out. It's only females at that time. And then same thing with the brothers, it's just brothers at that time. We do offer personal training sessions, which is a little different. We have open slots where you could schedule a time with a personal trainer to come in and meet them and work out with them. But for the most part, most of what we have is classes. And then, of course, our boxing. We have boxing is one of the big parts of our gym. So we have boxing for brothers, sisters. We have kids boxing, which has become really popular. We recently opened up another class for kids boxing, which is on the weekends.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you both so much for your immense amount of knowledge that you shared with us. It helped me personally. I'm going to take a lot of these tips back at home with my kids. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Brother Haris. He can stop drinking his juice and get on the
Dr. Saeed, Dr. Shehaiber, Jazakumullah khairan for taking the time out to share these nutritional groups with our community. As you can see, I really needed this. I've got to get away from the focus of being carb heavy and processed foods and drink more water, more fruit smoothies, use the air fryer for the samosas, using honey instead of sugar. Even the workout, sometimes I'm just too tired to go to the gym because I've got work at 6 in the morning. So just taking time out to do some burpees, some jumping jacks, some squats, and then getting that sleep at night. And all of that's very important. Inshallah, help us make this a very nutrition focused and a very positive Ramadan. And I liked how Dr. Shehaiber ended it, saying we should consider acupuncture and hijama as well. Those are some things that sometimes we just kind of fall by the wayside and we don't really think about too much. ICW community. These programs are made possible with your donations. And tomorrow, inshallah, we have our flagship event, the Quran and Nasheed night. So it's from 6:30 until 8:30 p.m. And we've got 5 qadis that are coming: Sheikh Muhammad Abbas, Sheikh Nasser Hussein, Sheikh Ibrahim Dawdasawi, Sheikh Ibrahim Baqir, and Sheikh Ahmed Siddiqui. So it's tomorrow from 6:30 until 8:30. It's the same link that you used to join us today. Inshallah, welcome Ramadan by listening to some of these prominent qadis and munshids. And Jazakumullah khairan for attending today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to reach Ramadan and make this our best one ever.
Ameen.
Thank you.